Imagine standing at the edge of history on the very day when a city expected destruction, but instead witnessed the greatest example of mercy the world had ever seen. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about the conquest of Makkah is that the strongest victories are not achieved by crushing defeated enemies, but by conquering hearts through patience, forgiveness, and unwavering faith in Allah. Long before this unforgettable moment, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, had walked the streets of Makkah as a trusted and truthful man. Yet after receiving the message of Islam, he and his followers faced years of rejection, ridicule, persecution, and unbearable hardship. Families were divided, believers were tortured, livelihoods were destroyed, and many faithful companions were forced to leave behind everything they owned simply because they believed that there is no God but Allah. The Prophet himself endured insults that would have broken ordinary leaders, yet every hardship strengthened his resolve instead of weakening it. The migration to Medina marked a new beginning, where the Muslim community grew through faith, discipline, justice, and unity, but the memories of Makkah never disappeared from their hearts. Every prayer reminded them of the sacred Kaaba. Every journey recalled the land where revelation first descended, and every challenge reminded them that patience is often the path chosen by Allah before granting victory. Years later, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah created an unexpected period of peace that allowed Islam to spread across Arabia with remarkable speed, proving that wisdom often succeeds where conflict fails. However, when the treaty was violated by those who had pledged to honor it, events began moving toward a conclusion that few could fully understand. Instead of acting in anger or rushing toward revenge, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, carefully prepared with remarkable restraint, determined that justice should never be separated from mercy. A disciplined Muslim force gathered quietly, demonstrating unity rather than arrogance, obedience rather than pride, and faith rather than fear. Their goal was not to destroy Makkah, but to restore peace to the sacred city and remove the barriers preventing people from embracing the truth freely. As the army advanced across the Arabian desert, thousands of devoted believers traveled together with calm determination, placing their complete trust in Allah while avoiding unnecessary confrontation. Every step reflected years of sacrifice. Every mile carried memories of loss, and every heartbeat anticipated a moment that would reshape history forever. The people of Makkah watched these developments with growing uncertainty because they remembered the pain they had inflicted upon the Muslims and expected severe retaliation when the victorious believers finally returned. Rumors spread through the city. Anxiety filled every household, and many wondered whether this would become the bloodiest chapter in Arabian history or the beginning of something completely unexpected. No one could fully imagine that the greatest conquest in Islamic history would soon reveal a definition of victory unlike anything the world had ever witnessed before, transforming fear into hope and leaving humanity with timeless lessons that continue inspiring generations across every age and every land even today. As the Muslim army approached the outskirts of Makkah, the atmosphere became heavy with uncertainty, and every passing hour increased the suspense that surrounded the sacred city. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about this decisive moment is that the character of a leader is revealed most clearly when absolute victory rests within his hands. Nearly every family in Makkah remembered the years of conflict, the migration to Medina, the battles that had followed, and the painful separation that had divided the people of Arabia. Many expected the arrival of an army driven by revenge, because history had repeatedly shown that victorious nations often repaid suffering with even greater suffering. Yet the mission of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, was never built upon hatred or personal ambition. It was founded upon obedience to Allah, justice for humanity, and mercy for every soul willing to seek the truth. As the believers entered the city from different directions according to a carefully organized strategy, strict instructions were given to avoid fighting unless absolutely necessary. The overwhelming display of strength was intended not to terrify innocent people, but to prevent unnecessary bloodshed and encourage a peaceful surrender. This remarkable discipline reflected years of spiritual training that had transformed ordinary men into devoted servants of Allah who valued peace above personal revenge. One by one, the gates of Makkah opened with surprisingly little resistance, and the city that had once expelled the messenger of Allah now witnessed his peaceful return. Every familiar street carried memories of sacrifice. Every mountain reminded the believers of earlier hardships, and every step brought them closer to the sacred mosque that had remained the center of their prayers despite years of separation. The Prophet, PBUH, entered Makkah with profound humility, lowering his head in gratitude to Allah instead of raising it in pride before the people. This unforgettable image demonstrated that genuine victory belongs only to those who remain humble after success. The suspense that had gripped the hearts of the people reached its highest point because they knew the authority to judge their past actions now rested with the very man they had persecuted for more than 2 decades. Their fears seemed understandable according to the customs of that era, when conquest usually brought widespread punishment and humiliation for the defeated. Yet the greatest surprise in Islamic history was only moments away. Rather than announcing revenge, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, proclaimed a general amnesty, extending forgiveness to the vast majority of those who had once mocked, opposed, and even fought against him. Fear gave way to astonishment. Astonishment turned into reflection, and reflection opened countless hearts to Islam. The Kaaba, which had long been surrounded by idols, was purified for the worship of Allah alone, restoring the sacred sanctuary to the purpose established by Prophet Ibrahim. A.S. The symbols of falsehood disappeared, while the message of pure monotheism stood firm once again, proving that truth ultimately prevails through steadfast faith, unwavering patience, righteous character, and complete trust in Allah rather than through anger, cruelty, or the desire for personal revenge alone. The peaceful conquest of Makkah did not simply change the destiny of one city. It transformed the future of an entire civilization and left humanity with lessons that continue to inspire hearts more than 14 centuries later. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about this extraordinary victory is that lasting success is built upon faith, patience, humility, and forgiveness rather than pride, hatred, or the pursuit of personal glory. The messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, possessed every worldly reason to seek revenge against those who had insulted him, driven him from his homeland, persecuted his companions, and fought against the message of Islam for many years. Instead, he demonstrated that the greatest leaders rise above personal emotions and choose the path that brings peace, justice, and reconciliation. His decision to forgive transformed former enemies into loyal believers, united divided tribes under the banner of faith, and opened the hearts of countless people across Arabia to embrace Islam willingly rather than through fear. The mercy displayed on that unforgettable day became stronger than any weapon because compassion has the power to heal wounds that violence can never erase. The cleansing of the Kaaba from idols symbolized far more than the removal of stone figures. It represented the victory of truth over falsehood, guidance over ignorance, and sincere worship over centuries of misguidance. From that moment forward, Makkah once again became the spiritual center established by Prophet Ibrahim, a.s., reminding every generation that Allah alone deserves worship and that every human being stands equal before him regardless of wealth, tribe, or social status. The events surrounding the conquest of Makkah also reveal that patience is never wasted in the sight of Allah. Years of hardship, migration, sacrifice, and steadfast belief prepared the believers for a victory that arrived at exactly the right time according to divine wisdom. Had they abandoned hope during persecution, history would have unfolded very differently, but their unwavering trust in Allah allowed them to witness a triumph greater than they could have imagined. This timeless lesson remains deeply relevant today because every believer encounters moments of difficulty, disappointment, and uncertainty. The story reminds us that immediate setbacks do not determine our final destination when our faith remains firm and our character reflects the teachings of Islam. True victory is not measured by the number of battles won, the wealth accumulated, or the influence gained in this temporary world. True victory is measured by obedience to Allah, sincerity in worship, kindness toward others, and the courage to forgive even when revenge seems justified. That is why the conquest of Makkah continues to shine as one of the brightest chapters in Islamic history, proving that mercy can overcome hatred, unity can replace division, and faith can accomplish what worldly power alone never could. Its message continues to echo across generations, inviting every heart to choose compassion over resentment and righteousness over pride. Because those who follow the path of Allah ultimately achieve the most meaningful and everlasting success in this life and in the hereafter. If you're benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.